Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I'm extremely bullish for Tesla moving forward. Extremely, not just the company itself, but the stock and the stock price moving forward. I'll tell you why that is. The chart here is 360 and 10 is again square that I've drawn, and you can see that it gave some really remarkable market symmetry where it's been following these arcs and angles and the horizontals here extremely well, right? It's just basically started out from this inception of a stock, right up the 45-degree angle, bounce, broke a couple arcs, back tested arc, came back, trying to break through an arc, got rejected initially, broke through, back test, both the arc and the angle, broke through, got to the next arc, got rejected, back test the horizontal, pushed through, never really back test this green arc over here, which is a little bit scary. That's why a lot of people are thinking, hey, the price could be going all the way down to like the 60s and 40s. It never did that because the fundamentals wouldn't allow it to, because the wells wouldn't allow it to. Pushed out to the arc over here, got rejected at the top arc here, came back down, back test the horizontal here a couple times. Here it got closed, didn't really quite get there. And, here trying to push for the arc here, wasn't able to do so for about 3 years. And guess what happened recently? We have broken above the arc. Guess what happens after you broke above an arc like that? Well, let's see what happened with Bitcoin. Before, when it did that multiple times. It just did it recently, by the way. So which is why I think Bitcoin's going higher. What happened over here? Broke through an arc, go to the next arc. What happened here? Broke through an arc, go to the next arc. What happened here? Broke through an arc, got pretty close to the next arc, not quite, right? So I think Bitcoin is going to look pretty decent moving forward. What about Tesla? Broke through an arc, right? Kind of like over here, you're able to break through an arc. I think it's going to gravitate to the next arc. Minimally, it's probably going to gravitate towards the horizontal above. So horizontal above right now is around 700. The arc up here is around 1,100, or 1,100, 1,200, somewhere around there. Because it depends on where it lands, right? If it lands around 2027, then it might be 900, right? Depends on where it lands. There's no guarantee it's going to go up from here. It can take some weird paths, and it can hit the arc up here. And if it ends up hitting the arc here at this area over here around 2028, then it might be just 600, 700, 800, right? Depends on where it goes. There's no guarantee it's going to stop at this arc. You can push through. There's also no guarantee it's going to hit that. It could just hit the horizontal here, end up, kind of filtering here, and then eventually try and break through the arc here again. Regardless, I think the next level is going to be 700. I think it's going to hit over the next like 3 years. And whether or not it hits higher level to like the 4 digits, I don't know, right? Which is not a bad number gain if you end up buying underneath 200, which is exactly what I did. I am kind of, how do I say that? I'm kind of conflicted as to whether or not I want to add to Tesla, to be completely honest with you, because I think I've got a pretty decent position, and I see the upside going to be like 700 over the next couple of years. It's not bad, but I might be looking at other, opportunities to add to, not necessarily in the EV space, but I just think that Tesla's going to do very, very well, and it could do a lot better than I expect. It could end up just pushing through this arc and just go a lot higher. Like it's a very, very bullish look to it. So there's no guarantee in terms of what I'm thinking. Now, a couple of other things to kind of support that idea: 20-month moving average, flip from resistance here to support. In general, when that happens, things can go pretty parabolic for a while. You're just now starting to have the monthly Bollinger Band expansion to the upside, to the downside, and that is just signifying maybe this is just a beginning of a bull trend, which is why I'm thinking, hey, potentially 4 digits over the next 3 years. I think it's possible, right? The other thing too is looking at the monthly Ichimoku. Right now you're hitting a little bit of resistance here, but it looks like we might be breaking through. The top of the Ichimoku cloud already got rejected here back in July of 2024. Right now, if the month end up closing, and this is still early in the month, it's only November 6th, but the month end up closing above the cloud, then you're really going to have a lot of strong bullish continuation moving forward. Could it come back and back test the cloud around here until like the 230s? I find that to be unlikely at this point. You had a bullish crowd that has just happened in October 2024. And a lot of pretty bullish things are happening right now with Tesla. I would still not be surprised that there might be some initial rejection back underneath the cloud, which is currently 276.83. But if it's able to break above the cloud here for the month, it could really seriously have some crazy bullish continuation. I think I see this candle over here to be very, very similar to this candle over here. where it just kind of break above the cloud without question, never really came back test the cloud until like 3 years later, right? So yeah, I cannot really be that bearish. Look at the lower time frame. It also has broken above. It's been forming higher highs and higher lows ever since April 2024. There's no disputing that. You're able to break above the zone over here. So it's been breaking above zone after zone after zone. And the next level, I think you would say maybe around like 280 to 300. I think 300 is going to be a pretty strong level. That would probably be a pretty strong resistance. But I think it's probably going to push through that. I'm not, like it's already gone through enough back testing. Like I think it's probably going to push through that, right? 300 or 295, whatever you call it, this is 0.618. Next level, let's just go around this to like 350. Next level is going to be previous all-time high. If it breaks about 350, I think it's pushing through all-time high. It's going a lot higher. If it's able to push through 350. I just, it's a very, very nice bull trend. I'm happy that I'm in it, and I don't have much else to really say about it at this point. Even if you're looking at the weekly Bollinger Band, it is starting to expand the upper Bollinger Band. This looks a very, very impulsive bull trend. Looks like it just wants to keep going a lot higher. I would not want to bet against Tesla right now. I would not want to bet against Tesla right now. So yeah, like you already have the, let me see, I'm just going to show a couple of moving averages here. You already have like pretty much 20 week moving average over 50 over 100. You have a full bull trend here on the weekly. This hasn't really happened. And I mean, I can even take away the 100 to give you a better illustration. But yeah, you had a bullish cross over here. Last bullish cross, it ended up resulting in bearish cross temporarily, but the time before that, you had a big giant parabolic bull run, right? It looks like it might just be starting based on looking at the higher time frame, and also based on looking at the 20 and 50 golden cross over here. So yeah, there's nothing really bearish about Tesla. Now, if you ask me, like, okay, so if Tesla's looking okay, what about the other EV stocks? Well, I can just go through a few, and I would just say I would not enter them right now. Rivian's got one thing going for it. If you look at a monthly chart, like literally it's got one thing going for it. Monthly chart, RSI, bullish divergence, price going down, RSI going up. But you see like RSI is like in the 30s here, like in like the 20s still for a monthly. Like it's just a very, very vicious downtrend. It's got like a very strong bullish divergence that's been building up for the last couple of years. And it's been playing out. Like this move up here was because of this bullish diversion that's been building up for a very long time. But I can't guarantee you that it's not going to make another leg down, and I can't guarantee you it's not going to make another lower low. There's no guarantee that for that, right? Volume is saying that it probably won't. If it does end up doing like a Adam and Eve kind of double bottom, that would be nice. But there's no guarantee right now. Like volume is saying that, hey, maybe we're kind of bottoming out, but I cannot guarantee that it won't make it a lower low. It's still a falling knife as far as I'm concerned. The Tenkan Nikkei still serving its resistance. You see how Tenkan, the blue line over here, has been resistance. Like it's not able to break above resistance, right? Looking at the 20-month moving average, the Bollinger Band is expanding. 20-month moving average has continued to serve as resistance, right? So it's going to serve as resistance until otherwise noted. Now, with that said, if it ends up bouncing from this level, it ends up going back up here, that's a pretty substantial gain from like $8 to like $14. That could potentially be a very, very nice trade, if you will. But I just don't see it breaking above resistance until proven otherwise. I don't know. Like there's not a whole lot of guarantee for support down below. I do like the fact that the volume here is a lot less than the uptrend over here, but it's still a very vicious downtrend. It's still trying to break. I would not enter Rivian right now because I can't guarantee it's not going to make a lower low. With that said, what about another stock that had gathered a lot of attention in 2020, 2021? Lucid. How is it looking? It looks like crap. The line over here, the Tenkan continues to serve as resistance. Initially, it was looking like it's got some live to it, where it's kind of bouncing up. It looked like it's just back testing the Tenkan here, and it might end up going higher. But no, the downtrend continues, and you had high volume selling in October, and you just made a lower low, right? Which is the reason why I can't guarantee like Rivian is not going to make a lower low. All it takes is just a little bit of volume to come in, and next thing you know, yeah, it can make a potential lower low like Lucid did, right? Granted, like Lucid is it's not as good a company as Rivian, but it's still not good, right? Looking at the Bollinger Band, it hasn't even touched the 20-month moving average, and it's still very negative sloping. Like I would not touch Lucid with a 10-foot pole right now. I would not touch Lucid with a 10-foot pole right now. Another EV, or not EV, it's just another, like, these like hype stocks that have ran up a lot in 2020, 2021. Plug Power. Plug, same thing. I would not touch it with a 10-foot pole right now. I cannot guarantee it's not going to make another lower low. There's no guarantee for that. Just look at how crazy the downtrend is. It hasn't even touched the tank in here for like a year and a half. I would not get into this right now. And then another stock though that I actually do have a position in this is QuantumScape. It's a small position. I am adding some to it. It's just because I see it challenging the tank in here for multiple times, like fifth time now. And I also see that the 20-month moving average is trying to turn flat. It's been challenging it for like 4 or 5 times now. And I do see that there's a lot of kind of secret buying volume here. I can't guarantee that it has bottomed yet, but I just like the fact that this is a inside candle. Like there are 4 inside candles to this very big volume candle over here. And I do see the trend reversing. I do see that if I look at the weekly here, that the 20, 50, and 100 are starting to get closer and closer together, right? I can totally see the 20 flipping over to 50, and I'm totally see 100 flipping too, maybe sometime over the next few months. And when it does, I think the upside potential for this stock is quite incredible. And I like the fact that the uptrend, the up candle over here has been on huge volume, and the down candle over here has been on no volume. This really looks like a classic accumulation here, and I'm playing the long game. I'm talking about like 3 to 5 years here. So I am in this, and I'm not buying a whole lot, but I do have a position in QS, QuantumScape, which makes solid state batteries, and the technology is real. Now, finally, one other stock I want to talk about that is a very retail heavy stock. I guess technically you can think of it as a competitor to Tesla, because it's renewable energy, is ENPH. What do I think about ENPH? I am not comfortable with ENPH, even at $73.79, but I'm conflicted. I'll tell you exactly why I say that. I'm conflicted, but I'm not comfortable. The reason why I'm saying I'm conflicted was because if you're playing by narratives, like the downtrend, the negative 18% today, theoretically was based on the fact that the Democrats didn't win and the Republicans won, right? So ENPH theoretically would not do very well. All these renewable energy theoretically would not do very well. But it also didn't really do very well when Democrats took office. I remember vividly in November of 2020, whenever the Democrats have won the election, yes, they did run up a lot. Like ENPH did run up a lot. Actually, the entire like clean energy, TAN or iClean or ICLN, all these like ETFs for clean energy and solar energy, they ran up a lot during this period of time. But this is during a period of time of really significant trend exhaustion. There's a lot of serious trend exhaustion that was on the way up. And you can see that on the monthly here in terms of the trend exhaustion. If the RSI would ever pop up, there you go. So again, remember in November of 2020, you had this big giant green candle. Everybody got hyped up saying, oh, it's going to go up a lot higher. And if you end up buying the hype, you actually end up, losing money by the end of the Democrats' term, right? So I don't necessarily think that this hype for the Democrats winning the White House is warranted for ENPH, because it's already made a monster move up like crazy for 5 years straight, right? The trend is exhausting, and the narrative was like the final nail to the coffin, and you made a wave 5 over here, made a higher high, but the entire trend got exhausted. It's just like the RSI is rolling over as price is going up, right? Trend's exhausted. What's happening right now? Well, you have a pretty vicious downtrend, right? Very vicious downtrend. Price went from like 300s to 2 digits now, right? what's happening right now, where you got price kind of making a little bit of a lower low over here, and you got the RSI going up, right? So you might be experiencing some bottoming behavior here for ENPH. I just don't know where the bottom is going to be. That's my problem. I just don't know where the bottom is going to be. And I'm not going to buy the narrative in terms of like, yo, Republicans in office, these clean energy stocks are going to do well. I don't buy that. What I'm buying is I'm worried about the technicals. I'll show you why I'm worried about the technicals. I did a Gann chart here. This might look a little bit different from the Great Mass Bees. I'm doing a log scale 360 and 1, and I'm doing it from the all-time low here around April 2017. It's kind of breaking underneath the arc here a little bit, so I'm a little bit worried. But there's no guarantee, right? Like it broke underneath the arc over here a little bit, but ended up bouncing back above and back tested stuff up here. So this might be a little bit of a false breakdown the second time. This could be a double bottom over here, but there's no guarantee. I just get a little bit scared when I'm looking at something like this, right? The other thing I get a little bit scared when I'm looking at ENPH is really the 20-month moving average and the Bollinger Band, right? Can it bounce from the lower Bollinger Band here around the 60s? I think it's possible. I think it's possible it can make another lower low to kind of hit the 60s range. I think it's possible, and that could potentially be support, right? Because you're having a little bit of a squeeze here because price has just kind of gone sideways for so long that you're starting to get a Bollinger Band squeeze here, and it might limit the potential downside from here on out. But I just don't like the 20-month moving average curling down like this. Initially, I was hoping that it would turn a little bit more flat, and that might make me a little bit more comfortable. But because of the price action over the last couple of months, the 20-month average continues downward acceleration, and I think it's going to continue to serve as resistance. If there's any push, like if you have like these 10, 20, 30% move up, maybe even up to like 100, 110, which would be a tremendous gain all the way from 60s, that might potentially be a little bit of a dead Cantonese bounce and might get rejected by a very negative sloping 20-month moving average. I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little bit skeptical. I think ENPH probably minimally we need to go sideways here for at least another half year to a year, unless if something crazy happened fundamentally and end up having like a God candle, which these things are very, difficult to get. Unless if ENPH pull off a JD. Unless if ENPH pull off a JD where there's a God candle that just reverse the negative sloping 20, I just don't feel comfortable with ENPH right now. Would I short the stock? Heck no. Heck no. Getting closer to the lower Bollinger Band on a bullish divergence? No, I'm not shorting here. Would I potentially, if I was a trader, would I potentially short it when it gets to the 20-month moving average? It was super negative sloping? Maybe. I won't do it, but that's just something to kind of think about. So that's how I'm thinking about ENPH. I can totally see where we're at right now here. Get closer to 20-month moving average. Maybe very similar to here. There's a potential for it to make a lower low, maybe at the lower Bollinger Band in the 60s, maybe a little bit lower, kind of like it did over here. Eventually, it's going to make a trend change. I don't know if it's going to happen in the next 6 months, but eventually it's going to make a trend change. If I would have shorted here, I would have been wrong, right? It depends on what the 20-month moving average morphology look like. If it's very negative sloping, then yeah. But if it's starting to turn flat, if it goes sideways here for 6 months, and it's starting to turn flat, then yeah, that might give me more confidence on that. But I'm just a little bit worried about ENPH right now. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope it's interesting to you in terms of what I think about all these sectors. Anyway, take care. Have a good one. Bye.